Hello, welcome to Great Minds Tutorials, and this is your favorite tutor Khodiso. And in this episode, I'm going to continue with part two. And in the part two, we're going to continue with user defined exception handling. So in this case, I'm going to continue here. In the previous episode, we have created this, we have done exception handling on it, and we have also exception handling for the date. And we're also having exception handling for the data interface, and we're also having the exception class. So in this case, we continue, come here, new Java interface, and then you're doing the employee interface. So inside the employee interface, what we're going to be doing is that we're going to define all of the abstract methods that are going to be used with together with the manager class. So we're going to say public, and then it must be a void, and then we say add employee. So inside here, we're gonna have to send all of the details that are needed for the employee. So it's okay. Let's think about this. So far we haven't done anything on data structures. So up until now, I haven't done a video on data structures, but let me avoid that one in order for me not to. It's okay. I want to see, quickly come back here. What kind of information do I have? So let's say we wanted to let's say we want to calculate the salary based on placement date. So we want to say public, it must tell us calculate or calc salary. And what we're gonna need in here, we're gonna need int, which is the month, or let's say we're gonna need the full date of placement. And this, it must throw, it throws employee exception. Why are we throwing an employee exception? We are throwing an employee exception because this is dealing with the date, and date is dealing with exception handling. So that is the first one. Sorry about that. That's the first one that we are having. Let's say based on we're gonna have different salaries which are gonna go into that and all of those kind of stuff. So we're having calculate salary. Let's just have this one. This is perfectly fine in order for me just to demonstrate what I wanna do. And when we get here, I'm gonna say Java class. I'm gonna say employee manager. This is a manager class, or we can where we're gonna process all the information. Okay. You can name it however you want to name it. So we're going to finish this. So this guy who's the manager, he implements employee interface. And we also want to implement the employee data interface. We have constant salaries that need to be kept constant. The data interface. So now, since this, it implements an interface that has got an abstract class. I mean an abstract method. So how do you see that it's an abstract method? Is because it ends with a semicolon, and it doesn't show that it's static. If you were to try and make this static, it's gonna give you an error. So it doesn't have a body. So now when we get here, you just click here and say implement all abstract methods, and that is the method to calculate. We're gonna override it. Okay. So in this case, we're gonna have rules. We're gonna say go back here to data interface, and we're gonna have a final double, and then we're gonna say grade 1 or grade A salary. It's gonna be assigned to 25,000. And then let's say we have a final, we have a double, we have a grade B salary, and then we assign it to double that, 50,000. I'm throwing numbers around. Double. But here is one mistake I'm making. Since this is a final, it needs to be named with capital letters, separated with an underscore. It happens sometimes. So grade underscore B salary. Okay, let's have also a grade C. So we're having a grade C salary. So right, this one we're gonna make it a 75,000 to be fair, separated by 75 is this one. That one was 750,000. So then going back here to the manager, we're going to say double salary is then assigned to a 0. So we're gonna say if, so here we're gonna need an int year, and then we're gonna say date dot or date of placement dot get year. So we're gonna check the year. We're gonna say if the year is less than or equals to, let's say you placed 2003, before 2003 in the company, then your salary is going to be grade, meaning that you are a senior in that company, grade C salary. And I'm going to say else if year is greater than 2003 and so it means it's from 2004, and year is less than or equals to till 2010, Then we're going to see salary. Grade B, salary. So else if year is greater than 2010, so that we do not have a conflict, because 2010 is included this side, 2003 is included there, and we say greater than even year. So that we do not have a conflict, we're going to say that the salary is then grade A salary. We can say grade, we can say group, is still fine. So that is the basic salary. So we need to also get a little bit of, maybe let's say, bonuses. So there's a grade A bonus. So and then the bonus for the grade A group, let's make it 2.5, 2,500. And I'm gonna be a little bit lazy now. Copy this, paste it here, and also paste here. So here it's gonna be grade B. This is gonna be grade C. So for the grade B, we're gonna give them a 5,000 bonus. And for the grade C, we're gonna give them a 7.5 bonus. So now we're going back here. We're gonna add the grade C. Bonus also. Copy this and be a little bit lazy. Copy, come here, paste, plus paste. This is gonna be a grade B. This is gonna be a grade A bonus. So here we're just going to return the salary. Okay. So that is how it's gonna be. So now this is settled and done, and that is settled and done. Now we will have to go back to the main class, which is here. So we need to do class instantiation. And then we need to create an employee. Emp. And then we need to create a date. For the date. And import. Let's have a scanner. SC. New scanner. System. Dot in. Port. Let's have another one for non-numbers. Input. So the reason why we're doing two scanners is because one is going to deal with the numericals and one is going to deal with the non-numerical inputs. So then now we need to declare declarations. So we're having a name, a string name, surname, um, employee ID. That is all we're gonna need from this side. And for the integer, for the date, we're gonna need the day, the month, we're gonna need the year of placement. So and then let's prompt user input. Input. So we're gonna say system.out.println. Or let's make it print. We're gonna say please enter your name. There we go. So we're gonna say name is assigned to sc.next line system.out.print. Please enter your surname, and then we're gonna say that surname is assigned to sc.next line, and then system.out.println. Please enter your employment ID, which is between, excuse me. Then we need to go back. There's an exception that we did here. When we look at the exception handling, it will tell us, we can even tell from this side. So employing string 4 to 8 digits. So we can come back here, which is between 4 and 8 digits. Okay. So this is where we're gonna add the employee ID. It's supposed to be sc.next line. Okay. And then after this, we're gonna say system.out.println. Probably gonna say please enter the day of your employment. So then here you're gonna say day is then assigned to sc input. Why? Because it's now an integer. That next int system.out. Let's remove the ln here, and we have it like that. So system.out.println, system.out.print, and then we're gonna say please enter the month of your employment. There we go. And then we see month is then assigned to input dot next int. We're going to say system.out.println. We're going to say please enter the year of your employment. So, but this is supposed to be print. So year, we're going to say year is assigned to input dot next int. Then now we get here, we're gonna get to create the date object. We start with the date object because the date object is going to be needed inside the other object. So we're going to say date is assigned to new date, and in here we're going to say day, month, and the year. So and then this is going to underline why, because we are running an exception. So what we do, remember I said in the previous video, you only try and catch in the main class, and in the backend classes you only throw the clause. So we are in the main class. How do you see? We have the main method. So now you need to surround the block with try and catch. So this is what it's going to do. It's going to surround the block with a try and catch. So it's going to catch the exception. So what we're going to do is that we're going to remove this, and we're going to write a proper message, a proper error message in case we catch an exception. So what we're going to do is that we're going to say inside here, it must write the exception, which is ex dot get message. So it must get the message and print it out to us. So that is what I do whenever we try and catch. So this is very important that you try and catch all of the exceptions that you have been handling throughout in the backend classes. This is where you start doing them in your main class. So in your backend classes, if you remember, we're only throwing the exceptions. But when we get to the main class, that's where we're starting to catch those exceptions. So now when we come here, we're gonna then create an employee object. So the employee imp, I wrote it as imp, is gonna be new employee, and then in here we're gonna give it the name, surname. We're gonna give it the employee ID, and we're gonna put in the what? The date. Just like that. That should be sufficient. So then after this, what we need to do is then that we need to display. So bear in mind, I'm still a little bit object oriented. I'm not yet advanced when we get here, because there's some concepts I want to introduce you guys to before I can actually go fully out and be doing proper advanced stuff. I'm still applying a little bit of few stuff which are not really advanced here. I'm still basics. So I'm just gonna simply display. I'm not gonna do anything very chaotic, but in order for us to display, I'm gonna call a helper method. I haven't created it. I'm working backwards. So I'm going to give it EMP, and I'm also going to give it the date object. So I'm going to create it down here outside. I'm going to say private static void, and we called it display. And inside here, I've given it employee, and I've also given it a date. So those are the two parameters that I've passed to it. So now when I get inside here, then I can be able to display each and every information. So I'm going to say string, and then I'm going to say desp is assigned to an empty string. So when I get here, I want to concatenate the string, concat the info. So in order for me to concat the info, I'm going to say desp is assigned to desp.concat. And then we're going to start doing the stuff. We're going to say the name of the employee is, and then we're going to concat, we're going to say employee dot get name. That should be able to give us the name. And we concat, we go to a new line here. And we okay, so before we can display, let's first go to a new line. That should be sufficient. And then we get to concat again. Then we come to the new line, and then we're gonna say the surname of the employee is plus employee dot get name, and then we're gonna concat. Then we go to a new line, concat, come down, and then we're gonna say the employee identity of the employee is employee dot get employee ID, and then we're gonna go to a new line, okay, /, and then we're going to say the date. So the date which I'm doing here is not advanced. I'm still doing basic stuff. I'm gonna introduce you to something very, very nice in the next coming parts of this series. So as you continue with the next videos, you'll see that we're gonna start doing stuff properly. So okay, the date of employment is, it should be the day, say DG, MM, yeah. And then we do that, concat. Then I'm gonna come here, and then I'm gonna put in that, and then I'm going to say a date dot get day. It's gonna write the DD and add slash, and it's going to then, okay, we have the slash concat, gonna say date dot get month, and we're going to concat slash the other slash, this one, and we going to concat date dot get year. Okay, let me just scroll down that side a little bit so that we can see what we are doing. And we're just gonna take it to a new line, and we're gonna have a semicolon. So the placement date should be that. Then we're gonna concat here, and the last thing we're gonna say the expected salary is R, and we're gonna say, so okay, what I'm gonna do here with the expected salary, I'm gonna do a decimal format here, decimal, DF is assigned to new decimal format, and then inside here I'm gonna say 0.00, because we are dealing with money. Money is 2 decimal places after the comma. So in case we get we're gonna say plus or concat. That's not a plus, that's a concat. So then now what we need to do is then we're gonna need the salary. So we're gonna need to get back the salary, which is a double. So we're gonna come here and declare a double salary. But outside that, we're gonna need an employee manager, EM for employee manager, or let's just assign it to new employee manager. And this is something that I've omitted. When we get back here, we are supposed to do a default constructor here. We're supposed to say insert code, and inside insert a constructor, which doesn't have anything. Let it be default. That is what we're going to use for class instantiation. And when we get here, I'm just going to import the manager like that. So I'm going to use the employee manager. So before I can display, let me first determine the salary. Or calculate salary. Determine, calculate is the same thing. It's just another way of me putting it. Okay, now I'm going to say salary. Why am I saying salary? It's because on that side, it's returning a double, which means it's a value returning method. So I'm going to say em dot calculate salary, and I'm going to give them the date of placement. So I'm going to add the last one here, which is salary, which is going to be needed. So when I get here, I'm going to put in a double here, and I'm going to put in a salary. So here, I can just say df.format, and then I want to format a double, which is that salary. That should be sufficient. So when you call that, it should be able to do the things. So now let's run this. And then we say your name is Khodiso. Let's say we omit the second one. We say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we say that enter the date of placement. Let's say I started working in 2002. And oh, I made a mistake. It's supposed to be okay, but it's fine with that mistake. Month number 11, 2012. Okay, so you see here, it has captured this exception. It tells us enter a valid day. So this is the latest exception that it's going to pick up at the moment. You will see when we continue with exception handling and we start introducing what we call graphical user interfaces, GUIs, it will pick it up immediately. But because we are using system.out.println, it's only going to pick up the latest one. So we made a mistake where, yeah, we have omitted this. That is the first exception. Why? Because we are not allowed to leave that empty. We're supposed to enter at least one character. I've left it out empty on purpose. And yeah, I made a mistake also. A day is only between 1 and 31. Those are the rules that we have made. We said that a day is between a 1 and 31. A day cannot be more than 31. So there's a maximum day number, which that maximum day number, when you come here, you'll see is 31. So I've entered 2000, going back to the output, I've entered 2002, which is more than 31. So it picks up that exception. Then it says the error message is that please enter a valid day in a month, 1:31. So that is it. As you can see here, it is able to pick up that exception. Why? Because we have that error message, which is this one. That is the one so it means that our exception handling is working and it's able to pick up those exceptions. Let us be specific here and say error and say error and say error so that we can understand that we have picked up an error. There we go. So in that way, it's going to be able to pick up that exception. So now let's try and rerun this, but now this time around giving it proper information so that we can continue. We don't want to stop there. But let me just quickly check something in my front end. I didn't display here. I'm supposed to say system.out.println and display disp. Okay, that should be fine. Let me stop here. Let's run again. Okay, my name is Khodiso. Surname is Mashile. Employee ID is 1111 5 times. That is between 4 and 8. I was placed on the 12th, month number 11, 2002. Okay, you see here, it says that please enter a valid year. The year can never be a negative, so it's unable to pick up this. It means there is something that we made as we made a mistake whenever we were doing this controlling here. So let's check something here for the year. So I want to check what is the minimum year here. Is greater than or equals to the valid year. So okay. Assign it into a true. Let's check the minimum year. So the minimum year is actually a 0. So okay, when we come back here, it's supposed to pick up I've entered the number 2002. Okay, I think we're going to pick up okay, let's say we do this. Okay. Okay, let me try and deal with it as a long. But it's still fine. It should be okay. It is not supposed to pick up an error, but there is something here logically, yeah. Yeah, in this section. But let me quickly try and debug what okay, this is a false. If the year is greater than or equals to the minimum year, it should say as valid is true and then return it true. And but in this case it says error. Please enter a valid year. Year cannot be negative. So it's picking up an exception, which is not supposed to be picking up. Okay, let me test something. Let me say if I say Khodiso, Mashile, please end 1111, day 11, 12, and I'm putting a 0. So okay, we're still picking up an exception. All right, which 0 is included in here. Okay, coming back here, that's the minimum here. That's the only variable that we are having, which is minimum here, and it's equivalent to a 0. But even whenever I put in a 0, it's still giving me that. Let me just try and clean my code. Stop. Close this. Okay, run. This. Every time, guys, when I speak about Zia color, you guys are 11111. The date of employment 11, 12. Let's put in a 0. No. Something. It's not supposed to be catching an error. Set day, set year. Okay, here is my mistake. Ziyakhala straight. Okay, so here is my mistake. All along I was supposed to say valid year, man. This all along was correct. I've realized when I was trying to make it along and stuff, but that was already correct. So remember my copy and paste. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. This I'm gonna make it an int. And yeah, up here I'm gonna come back and change it to be an int. So it should be fine now. It's just my syntax error. It was just a logic error. So okay, let's cancel. Yeah. Let's close this. Come back here to the main. Can't run outside the main. Compiled with errors. There's no errors of saved. So 1111 11 12 2002. Okay. Lousy conversion from long to short. Let me confirm if everything you have an int there. We have an int. Okay, here is my problem here. But this long must be turned into an int. Okay. Let's go back here. Run. So guys, as I've said before, I do not prepare for these classes. The reason why, there's a reason why on this channel, I do not prepare for these classes. I want to use my knowledge as best as possible. So, and sometimes whenever I code, I would probably make mistakes, and then some of the mistakes you might not see them. So my mistake was just simple. It was just that when I get here, I was using day is valid day. I was using is valid day for the month. And then you see, even here, I'm also still making the same mistake. It's supposed to be is valid month. Yeah. It's supposed to be is valid year. And the one for is valid day must be is valid day. The reason why I made a mistake is because now I'm actually using copy. In the previous episode, I copied and paste. I used my own methods of copy and pasting, and sometimes it doesn't give me proper stuff. So let me rerun with proper stuff now. So when you copy and paste, remember to change. But whenever we approach the questions, we approach them without preparing. Please enter the day of employment, 11, 12, and let's say 2002. There we go. And then now it's perfectly fine. It's working perfectly fine. So it says that the name of the employee is Khudiso. The surname of the employee is Mashile. The employee number is 11111. And the date of birth, the date of placement is 11/12/2002. So I just need to put in a last bracket at the end, and the salaries are 8,250. So it's because I've been placed in 2002. So I've been given, if I've been placed in 2002, going back to the manager, if I've been placed in 2002, it means they're going to give me a grade C salary. Did it say 8,000 or 82? Did it say 8,000 or 82? It's 82,500. So coming back here, you will see I'm a grade A. So it should be 75,000. A grade C, I mean. It should be 75,000 plus 7,500. So when you add that to that, it gives you 82,500. So that is correct. And that is it from me for today. Till we meet on the next one, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So my videos are unedited as of so. Wherever I make a mistake, I troubleshoot the code and do and look and debug the code with you guys so that we can be able to know that this is the reality that goes into programming. You're not always going to write everything correctly, logically, even syntax. So whenever you get an error, that is what is going to happen. But at the end of the day, we have reached to the final part of our code, and we were able to get a code that is working. So that is how you do exception handling. And that is it from me for today. Till we drop the next one, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Cheers.